Sports Unlimited is on the air for another week, and you can smell the postseason. I don't know what the postseason actually smells like, but it's a distinct smell in the air. Or maybe that's lunch, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm Judd Hickenbotham along with Morgan Lee. He is sports editor for AccessNorthGA.com.
Usually you're smelling stuff this time of year. It's like old, nasty, sweaty shoulder pads and helmets.
Exactly. See, it's from 10 games worth of use, and some of the teams, I guess, get to throw it in the closet, not worry about it until next fall. And some other teams, baby, the second season is about to start. All right, welcome into the show. We got a lot of things to get to, including your Gainesville JC's Player of the Week, of course. We will get to the playoff games. First round of the playoffs where everybody starts this Friday. This week, we will have 3 games on the air, on the radio. We'll talk about that as well. But let's talk about how we got to this point. Some huge matchups all around the area, including some big-time region championships, region champs all over the place. We will start with the Gainesville Red Elephants. They played at City Park. They were on the air as well on 1240 ESPN Radio. Joel Williams had the call of plenty of touchdowns.
Looks to the left, then going back to the right, and there's Harrison. Harrison is in the middle of the field. Harrison down to the goal line. Touchdown, Red Elephants. Trey Harrison curled back in, caught the pass in traffic, and took it right down the hash mark to score 23 yards.
Our cameras were at this game. Joel Williams not only getting to call plenty of Gainesville touchdowns, but Trey Harrison touchdowns as well. 62-7, Stevens County ends up getting the win of this one. Not surprised that Gainesville ends up getting the win against Stevens. Absolutely surprised at the score, weren't you?
Yeah, I was expecting. I told Coach Bruce Miller yesterday I was expecting a good game. And, obviously from his standpoint, it was a good game, but
right.
I was expecting a much closer battle and the two teams really to duke it out, at least until the third quarter. And all of a sudden, by halftime, it's 42-7, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Deshaun Watson had it going. They win their 4th straight region championship, does Gainesville. Watson in the game. 7 touchdowns, so that ties his own school record. 331 passing yards. He also led the team in rushing as well with 85 rushing yards. It was Deshaun Watson doing it, and we've talked about Gainesville's offense, and it deserves a ton of kudos. But, man, and we'll talk more about this a little bit later on about Gainesville's defense. Give them credit in this game, man. They shut down a dynamic player like Chaz Thornton and absolutely shut him down.
Yeah,
for the most part, except for one long
run.
They
did. They had one missed assignment, and, of course, Chaz made him pay with an 81-yard touchdown run. But outside of that, he was taking handoffs and finding guys right in his face almost every single time. I don't know if you'll be able to tell from some of these highlights. The occasion was very rare that he wasn't being hit by 2 or 3 guys almost as soon as he hit the line of scrimmage. And Gainesville's defense, there's a story up on the website right now by yours truly, just talking about how this team, at the start of the season, they had just 3 guys returning on that side of the ball, 3 starters returning. And it has really developed into one of the strengths on that team through a number of guys, gaining experience, and through a nose guard, Jeremiah Ledbetter, who moved in from Florida really early in the season, and his development has made a big difference.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that Red Elephant defense that really has just not gotten a lot of credit because of the offense being so very good. So Gainesville, and I don't think enough is said, and the more football I watch, the more you got to give credit to teams like Gainesville going to a game like that where they have a huge bullseye right on their chest. They'd won the region 3 times in a row. Stevens County, a very hot, very good team coming in, and they're chomping at the bit, ready to get a piece of Gainesville, and Gainesville says absolutely not, keeps them at arm's length.
Yeah, it's just I think so much of that is due to the experience of winning those 3 region titles prior to this 4th straight one. These kids have just learned how to win and how to play in big situations, and they started off the season tough with a scrimmage against St. Pius, and then a game against Buford. And I think being tested like that early really kind of helped form what they have become since. And, the fact that these kids were playing at home in a big-time situation, and they just looked like they were nonplussed, basically. They kind of went out there, and they were pumped up, but they were by no means overawed by the situation.
No, absolutely not. Gainesville, this is a lot like a replay of what happened last year where they lose to Buford and then they reel off all those wins in a row. They're hoping it's not a replay as far as the playoffs are concerned. So Morgan said he talked to Coach Bruce Miller, Gainesville Red Elephants, earlier this week. Also got to talk to him after that big win against Stevens County. He was a happy man on the field.
First off, Coach, congratulations, 4th straight region championship. I mean, coming into this game, did you expect the kind of start that y'all got off to?
Absolutely not. What a great team. Our guys just came out and played their butt off. Deshaun was on fire. Our receivers, he was spreading the ball around. Everybody was making big plays. It was just, defense was, I was worried about stopping the Thornton kid, and we just kind of stood in there and made the defense did a heck of a job. And, so it was just a total team effort.
Talk about, what did they do anything different defensively to be able to get to him, to stop him that other teams hadn't done yet this season?
No, we just kind of you're talking about our defense?
Yeah.
Our defense didn't do anything different, but we worked on some things and knew we had the key on him. But, no, we played our basic schemes.
What, how much did having the 3 previous region titles help, with the mindset and just being calm coming into tonight?
Well, I think our kids have been in big ball games. I don't know about region titles, but I know we've been in big ball games, and they just kind of flow into it. And you could tell at pregame meal they were really getting ready to play.
How well is this team playing right now versus the way it started and the way the season's gone?
Unbelievable right now, but next week's another game against a quality opponent, and you get to these five playoff games, you can't.
At the offices of Dr. Norman.
Your defense.
Yeah.
Bruce Miller, very happy with his Red Elephants. A very upbeat, very good coach. Very quotable coach, too, by the way. We'll talk more about the games of Red Elephants. They're going to be at home coming into City Park and trying to win. Ain't no small feat. Okay, let's move to our next game. Flowery Branch was in a huge region championship game as well against Clark Central and Old Nemesis. Geez, this was a game that early on looked like it was going to be Flowery Branches, and then late it looked like it was going to be Flowery Branches as well. Tony Schiavone called the game on AM 550.
3rd and 19. Snap. Throw over the middle. It is intercepted by Flowery Branch. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown, Flowery Branch. It was Quincy Hodges who picked it off at the 25 and scores the touchdown.
Schiavone usually only gets that excited if there's a free buffet somewhere, but he was absolutely thrilled. Flowery Branch up 21-7 in this game at one point. Then they were down 31-21. That interception, that pick six by Quincy Hodges made it 35-31. Flowery Branch had the lead. They end up losing 38-35 to Clark Central. This is one of those instant classic kind of games. Our cameras were rolling at this thing as well. I'm not looking down on Flowery Branch at all today, going in the first round of the playoffs. I'm giving Clark Central a lot of credit. I mean, they played a great second half of that game against a great Flowery Branch team.
They did, and their running back, Quinshawn Watson, just had a mammoth night. He's one of the guys that can, as soon as he touches the ball, he can take it the distance, and that happened a lot on Friday night. And I know Flowery Branch really is frankly kicking themselves because of losing this game. They ended up, technically they are region champions. They decided, 8-4A decided to name the 3 teams that were tied with each other with one loss, co-region champions. So they did win their first region championship, but because of having to separate out seeding, they ended up having to do a draw to decide who was going to be the 1, 2, and 3 seed, and Flowery Branch came out the worst side on that draw.
Yeah, it's absolutely just bad luck for Flowery Branch. It's also another thing that hurts about losing to Clark Central is they have some of the ugliest uniforms I've ever seen.
Red and yellow are never really go well together.
That looks like mustard and ketchup. What's going on?
Yeah.
No, Clark Central is a very good team. Flowery Branch, you know what? Maybe this is a wake-up call. They got it's kind of like the best. They don't want to have to go on the road, and they have a tough first-round matchup, a very tough first-round matchup. But at the same time, I think this might be kind of a wake-up call for Flowery Branch. You roll in 10-0, maybe a little bit overconfident, having lost a very hard-fought battle to Clark Central, and still being able to say you're region champs. You still have that as well. The worst part is you have to go on the road and face a very good team. But Flowery Branch has done this before. They've had to go on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. The last 3 seasons they are 7-2 on the road. Now, granted, 2 of those seasons were in AAA ball. But that's not really that big of a difference, and at least some of these guys had a chance to be on those teams and play key roles in those teams, so they kind of know what it's like to be on the road in the playoffs and have to go take care of business. Now, this Johns Creek team that they're going to play in the first round's a 9-1 team too, so I think it's going to be a really exciting first round game. If they get past that, the whole bracket's going to be tough for them because of that draw. I haven't written up anything about this, but I wanted to say it for a while. I'm sorry, drawing names out of a hat to decide seeding just seems to me like about the most, I don't know, out there thing you can do.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it just seems very tough to be able to do that. I guess they picked the region champ, right? And then it was just a head-to-head kind of thing after that, correct?
Well, yeah, what they did is they drew Heritage Conyers won the draw, so they became the number 1 seed, and then it went down to head-to-head, which means that Clark Central, since they had just beaten Flowery Branch, was the number 2. Flowery Branch ends up number 3, and it just seems so random and silly to me, but, I don't know.
Whatever. Flowery Branch still has to go on the road, and at the same time, it does seem silly. If they would have taken care of business against Clark Central, it wouldn't have mattered. It really stinks that you have to go on the road, though. Flowery Branch, very tough game on Friday, a game that will be on radio as well. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have more on what happened this past week. Buford Wolves, region champs yet again. High School Sports Unlimited rolls on after this.
At the offices of Dr. Norman Peets, DDS on Green Street in Gainesville, patients have all their general dentistry needs explained. Ask about sedation dentistry. Dr. Peets' team of professionals puts you at ease. Dedicated, experienced professional. He's Gainesville's family dentist. Dr. Norman Peets, 615 Green Street in Gainesville.
I will not march blindly into the fluorescent light of Monday morning to a job I do not love. I will not go with the flow. I am not a carbon copy. I will visit this website before tomorrow because I refuse to work for the weekend, even if everyone is working for the weekend. Today, I will find a job that I love. Today, I will find my career happiness.
This is High School Sports Unlimited, continuing all things high school sports all around North Georgia. We'll be here all year long, all school year long, we should say. So basketball season, geez. How much time we got till basketball season gets started?
About a week.
I mean, I'm looking at there's college basketball highlights already rolling around. Like, are you kidding me?
There'll be a lot of those this year if there's no NBA. So
that's a very good point. Which is fine. I enjoy college much more, and I really do enjoy high school basketball, and they absolutely do it right all around North Georgia. We got some really good teams. So High School Sports Unlimited will be with you throughout the basketball season, throughout the baseball season in the spring as well. So there you go. 6 p.m. on Thursday, 3 p.m. on Friday on 1240 ESPN Radio. If you want to see us, our smiling faces, and see some of the highlights of these games, you can go to accessnorthga.com, and it's the all-access little blue tab up there at the top on Access as well. All right, let's get back to some of the highlights from around the area. We talked about Gainesville winning the region championship. We talk about Flowery Branch a very heartbreaking way, losing their region championship. We go to AA now. Buford Wolves, they win again. They roll all over Blessed Trinity, a game that we thought might be like this. 49-10 was the final score, so the Wolves end up 10-0 on the year. They kind of did in Wolves fashion, didn't they? I think they had 14 different people score touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, maybe not quite 14, but it was certainly a
if you do the math, you know it's not 14, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a cavalcade, you might say, of guys walking into the end zone. So many different weapons they've got. I mean, that's the thing is, I've wanted to do a Player of the Week with Buford ever since the season started, but they don't have one guy that stands out, so it's really tough. When you've got guys who are putting up these individual crazy numbers, and you want to reward Buford, but I think something certainly a lot more rewarding than a Player of the Week award will be coming their way at some point this season.
Maybe another 5 games or so?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, they're just – this is what they're built for, and they know how to win at this time of year, and they certainly didn't they didn't, mess around and let Blessed Trinity think they had a chance to win this game, which is, a second time around playing a team. It's always tough to do, so they say, but certainly Buford didn't make it look that way.
It's kind of – this is this very similar Buford team to the way they had in the past, in that if you haven't seen the games, you haven't seen them play, and you only read, write-ups on the games, and then you see what these kids that sign with college teams, you're like, I haven't even heard about that guy. I've only heard one or two things. You hear about Andre Johnson because he usually scores a lot of touchdowns being a running back, but some of these guys on defense, they're probably going to go D1 somewhere, right? I mean, they have one of those defenses that just shuts everybody down.
Well, they've got at least 8 seniors that are Division I prospects, and I'm thinking they'll probably have upwards of 15 guys total off this team signed Division I scholarships. So yeah, they've certainly just so many weapons. I mean, with C.J. Moore had a 95-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, kickoff return.
Rick LeGrant, who hardly even carries the ball very much. I mean, they throw him in there when they need him or want to have a kind of a change up in the backfield. And he has 3 carries for 93 yards. It's just with that kind of offensive line blocking for you, I'm not going to say that I could sit there and roll up yards, but with the athletes they've got, they can just plug people in there.
Morgan Lee got 40 yards, so you could get something like that, right?
I'd probably get knocked out, but yeah, I could maybe get 5 yards,
Oh, boy. All right, so Buford, of course, going to be at home. They'll be at Tom Ryden to start the playoffs, and we'll talk about who they are going to face. It's just one of those school names. You're like, oh, yeah, that's a sacrificial lamb. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Let's mention East Hall real quick. They fall to Elbert County 27-7. That was a play-in game to try to make it to the state playoffs. So the Vikings, they go down. They finish 5-5 on the year. They played Elbert pretty tough if you go by the score. So kind of your hats off to the Vikings. I think they lost a couple of games there in the season that if they just could have won those things, they could have made the playoffs. But I hope this is kind of a stepping stone season for East Hall and Brian Gray over there.
Yeah, and I think that it will be. I talked to Coach Gray before the game last week, and he was pretty clear that he thought that this season was a big step in the right direction. I mean, they went 1-9 for 3 straight years, and then 3-7 last year, and then 5-5 this year. And you're right, there's a couple of those games that certainly had they have just held on to the ball because they had a 2-game stretch with 11 turnovers there. Had they just held on to the ball in those games, they would have won those games. And I think they a good shot that they would be playing this Friday night at home even because they would have been playing for a region championship. So certainly there's a lot for them to build and grow on from this season. They have worked so hard to build that program from the bottom up, and you're starting to see that come to fruition with guys that can play offensive and defensive line, which when Brian Gray first got there, they had a lot of good athletes, but nobody at the line. And to be able to win consistently, you got to be able to block and tackle. And they're finally, I think, starting to do that with some regularity and finding some big bodies.
And physical is a big part of it. Brian Gray talked a lot about the mental aspect as well, and I think that's kind of part of it. I mean, I really do. I think these kids had a lot more success this year than they've had, and it's. The whole mental aspect of getting yourself ready and built up each week, I think Brian Gray is trying to teach that, and I think they took a big step forward as far as the mental part of the game is concerned.
Yeah, I think you've got to say that because not only did they win 5 games, but they won a big game to put themselves into that position.
That Banks County win was huge.
That big Banks County win. Banks County had come in undefeated in sub-region play, and East Hall steps up and has probably their best sub-region game of the season. Just to put themselves in contention for the playoffs. So I think that says a lot about the mental makeup of that team going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So East Hall goes home. They don't make the playoffs, but it's a success. I know that halfway through the season they're thinking playoffs, and it didn't happen, but they can take a lot of positives out of this year. Meanwhile, another team that's not going to make it to the playoffs, the North Hall Trojans, they go to Monroe area. This game was on FM 102.9 with yours truly. Monty Cross had himself a pretty good game, though.
Smith under center, hands it off. There's a Monty Cross. He cuts it back. Up the middle, across the 15, breaks the tackle, he's loose, inside the 5, touchdown, Amani Cross, a big tough run by Amani Cross for 20 yards and a score.
I was getting ready to say big number 7 there, but in the first quarter, I think, got blood on his jersey. He had to go with number 2. And and the uniform didn't fit him at all. It's just really tight on him and everything. It was
isn't that Andrew Smith's number?
It was, let's see, no, it was not Andrew Smith. Now I can't remember. We called him at once and said, wait, no, that's not him. That's unless he's starting to work out. No, Amani Cross had a good game. We'll talk more about him because his high school career is over, but he has gotten to be a part of something pretty special. North Hall falls to Monroe area 28-21. A good comeback by the Trojans. They actually had a chance a couple times at the end of that game to drive down and tie it against Monroe area, but it was just the big plays. Monroe area showed a lot of athleticism, which is what we kind of heard going into that game. They had all 4 of their touchdowns where it went for at least 50 yards. 55-yard touchdown runs by the quarterback, had a 72-yard touchdown run, a 78-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. It was the big plays that kind of sunk North Hall, and it was the big individual efforts, I think, that kind of hurt the Trojans this year as well. We saw it again with Chaz Thornton. We saw it against Gainesville, and we saw it against Monroe area as well.
Yeah, you're talking about some guys who are able just to make some really explosive plays there. All 3 of those games that you mentioned had guys that are capable of just taking over and dominating the game. And you're right, that really did hurt North Hall, in opportune moments this season. This game, I was kind of keeping track of it on my phone as I was going, and it just I was sitting there, come on, guys. I mean, you're sitting there, you're so close, and you're just hoping that they get that one more chance. Because, I mean, Monroe area's defense, I kept feeling for sure that North Hall was going to be able to make one more play against that Monroe area defense. But, credit the Purple Hurricanes. They held on.
Early in the game, North Hall goes down, scores right away, makes it 7-0. Monroe area fumbles the ball away. Their second play from scrimmage, and you're thinking, all right, North Hall's going to go in 14-0. They're going to dominate this game. They fumbled it right back to them. And it was little things like that kind of hurt North Hall. A lot of injuries this year. Bob Christ was a very good coach, and I think he's going to get that team back up and running. They missed the playoffs for the second straight year. Amani Cross's high school career is done, but he is named as a member of the under-19 national team. Do you know much about this team? I mean, obviously, it's something for the kids that have really had stellar high school careers.
Yeah, it's certainly the first time that I've really paid attention to it because we haven't had anybody from around here make that team before. So when I got that email, I think on Sunday afternoon, I was had to do a little bit of looking. But certainly there are some pretty important names on that list, and I mean, Amani's got a big future ahead of him when you look at what he accomplished this season and where he's going. Certainly Tennessee could use some physical, pounding guys up there because, I mean, that's been one thing that's really hurt them is they've really kind of become a little bit of a finesse offense with just throwing the ball around, and they need some guys that can pound the rock, and certainly he can do that. I
think so. I think he could be a guy that has an outstanding SEC career. I think he could be a guy that, you just look at his body, he could step in right next year and play for Tennessee.
Yeah, he looks college ready.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. Habersham Central makes it back to the playoffs. First time in the playoffs since 2007. Congratulations to the Raiders. We pretty much thought they were going to be in, but all they had to do was definitely beat Rockdale County, and they were in. They did 34-7. It's a pretty significant season. I mean, to have a 4-year drought for Habersham Central and make it back to the playoffs, got to feel good for Kevin Ellis and those boys.
Oh, absolutely. They've worked so hard this season, and have done it in such amazing kind of heart-stopping fashion and so many times. So it was nice for them to really just kind of lay the hammer down and not have to worry about it in the last game of the season. Congratulations to what they have accomplished, and they changed that offense specifically to take advantage of what Kevin Ellison could do a couple of years ago, moving him from running back to quarterback. And I mean, you talk about a move that has paid off because that offense is one of the best in 4A, and he's leading all of 4A in total yardage from scrimmage. So congratulations.
Scary game for Jefferson. They were actually down to Dawson County 10-3 at the half. They come back and they win 21-10. I think it was 10-3. Might be wrong in that. 10-7. They were losing in halftime to a hot Dawson County team. Jefferson ends up winning this one 21-10. Their offense not quite as high powered as it was earlier in the season. They have a tough draw. We'll mention that in a little bit in the first round of the playoffs. Banks County goes down to North Oconee 41-0. Not much shame in that. North Oconee is a top 5 team in the state now. Banks County, they were thinking about region championship, but still a lot to play for them.
Oh, yeah. They're sitting there with the number 2 seed, so they get to play host to a game this Friday. First time they've done that since 1997 or 98. I think it's 97.
Yeah.
And, the Leopards have just come leaps and bounds I won't say leaps and bounds because they were 7-3 last year too, but certainly they're sitting there getting ready for a huge game, and congratulations to what's been a great season so far, and hopefully more to come.
All right, well, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. More High School Sports Unlimited after this.
And the high percentage of foreclosures. Just one more thing weighing on.
Have all their general dentistry needs explained. Ask about sedation dentistry. Dr. Pete's team of professionals puts you at ease. Dedicated, experienced, professional. He's Gainesville's family dentist. Dr. Norman Peets, 615 Green Street in Gainesville.
I will not march blindly into the fluorescent light of Monday morning to a job I do not love. I will not go with the flow. I am not a carbon copy. I will visit this website before tomorrow because I refuse to work for the weekend, even if everyone is working for the weekend. Today, I will find a job that I love. Today, I will find my career happiness.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Ron Wilson. At Wilson Orthodontics, we've helped thousands of people just like you get that perfect, healthy smile they've always dreamed of. And we do that by using state-of-the-art orthodontic technology. Children and adults love our exciting Georgia Bulldogs game room.
Come in and experience the atmosphere.
Our team is the best around, and they treat all our patients like they're part of the family.
They were so nice to me.
Call us today to schedule your free consultation, and I look forward to seeing you here soon.
Hi folks, Butch Miller from Milton Martin Honda in Gainesville, and why you should get your next new car at Milton Martin Honda. First, a fantastic selection. We bought extra cars, so now we have the largest inventory in the area. Next, an incredibly low price. Plus, we'll give you more for your trade. Third, we'll treat you the way you like to be treated. Those three things combined, we call the Milton Martin Honda Advantage. So remember folks, if you think you can get a better deal on a better car at Milton Martin Honda in Gainesville, you got that right.
Sports Unlimited. Thanks for being with us. Playoffs start Friday. First round of the playoffs, and we got quite a few teams that if they win state championships, you'd be like, okay, not too surprised. I mean, congratulations. Still got a long way to go, and it's tough to make it through the playoffs, but we got some teams that could definitely make it deep into the playoffs. All right, before we get to some of the matchups for the first round of the playoffs, we say congratulations once again to the Gainesville Red Elephants. They are region champs at 8 AAA, four-time region champs for this area. And it's time to get to our Gainesville JC's Player of the Week, and we go over to City Park. Morgan Lee talks with our Player of the Week, Gainesville running back Keontre Harrison.
Keontre, obviously, big performance last week in a big situation. Kind of talk about that game last week and why everything just seemed to work so well between you and Deshaun.
Well, like I said, once again, the more we prepare at practice and the more we prepare watching film, then we just try to execute it every Friday night. so it'll look good, so everybody can play good.
Obviously, this is your 4th straight region championship. The team seems to be playing kind of its best at this point in the season. Talk about how this team has, progressed through the season and how well you think you're playing right now.
I think we're playing extremely well. Ever since we took that beating against Buford, it's just the way that every team has to bounce back and put everything behind and just move forward week by week.
This week you're playing a Dalton team that, is sitting there at 4-6, but they had a lot of games taken away because of some GHSA rulings. What do you know about Dalton? What kind of game are you expecting?
I expect more highly physical. I would say you just can't say about a record what a team is more like. You just got to execute every Friday, play your hardest, take every play to the fullest, don't leave nothing behind, have no regrets.
Obviously this offense is one of the more impressive offenses around when it gets going. Kind of talk about how much fun it is to be a receiver in this offense.
It's extremely fun. I've went from a quarterback to a receiver, and the more every time I get switched up to a different position, it's more fun because you're in the spread. You can do so many things in this offense, so it's just fun.
How excited is the team right now, and what do you feel like y'all can accomplish going forward?
We feel very strong about the season. Everything is just perfect right about now. I don't have no doubts in my mind. I think just everything is going perfect for everybody and every coach around.
All right, well, listen, good luck along the way, and congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Wide receiver from Gainesville High School, Keontre Trey Harrison.
Kind of call him Slash. He does a little bit of everything.
He does a little bit of everything, and there's a lot of Gainesville guys that are just total athletes on this team. All right, well, let's start. And I can't tell you how pumped I am because I really, it's kind of been like a running joke that no one listens to me, but that's fine. I've always said, and not for the high schools, just for the cities, Dalton and Gainesville should be rivals. Like, Gainesville needs just a rival city to not like. I think it's Dalton because they're talking about carpet all the time and everything. And like, well, okay, we're chicken, you're carpet. I'd rather have chicken anyway. So I've been saying this for years, and now they get to play each other. So let's start with that game. It's still not funny, but I still try to explain to people when it's not funny. This game is usually going to be on 1240 ESPN Radio. Gainesville at home at City Park. Gainesville, the number 7 team in the state in AAA. They will host Dalton, the Dalton Carpet People. No, I don't even know what their mascot is. But Dalton comes in with a 4-6 record. You talked to Trey Harrison about this a little bit. What do you know about these guys?
I know that Dalton is going to be very physical and just line up and try to pound on Gainesville because they're a big team, especially up front. And they're going to try to use that size and really just hope to run over Gainesville, and it'll be a very interesting matchup because I think they're two very different styles of teams.
If you're trying to if you're game planning against Gainesville, do you think size is the way to go against them, or do you think speed is more the way to kind of beat Gainesville?
That's a tough call because you got to think of the past. Trying to think of the past few years, the teams that have beaten Gainesville in the playoffs. Maybe speed is the better way to go because I'm trying to think, when they lost in the Dome, it was to a Peach County team that really was as fast as Gainesville was that year, top to bottom. I think when they lost down in Columbus to Carver Columbus, that was an extremely fast team. Last year's Cedar Grove team was a really pretty quick team. So it's going to be interesting to see. They haven't really faced in the playoffs just a huge team in a while. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, and certainly Dalton is not a 4-6 team. I mean, they're an 8-2 team. They had 4 games that they had to give up because of playing an ineligible player. And this is not the type of game that you would usually catch in the first round.
That's a dangerous kind of team. You look at that record, 4-6. Oh, we should be just fine. I'm sure Coach Miller is talking to him about that. Gainesville's 6th in the state, by the way. They moved up from 8th last week. They are, if you look at the top 5, there's 2 other 9-1 teams ahead of Gainesville. Nobody has a bigger one loss on the year that they can, you can kind of explain away than Gainesville does because they lost to Buford to start the year. But Sandy Creek number 1, St. Pius is 2, Carrollton, Burke County, Allatoona, and then Gainesville is number 6. So there you go. Gainesville is going to be at home against Dalton. I'm sure City Park is going to be totally rocking. And go to accessnorthga.com, go to the high school sports section because Morgan does have a very good article on the Gainesville defense, and just mentioned it real quick. You talked a little bit about that defense, but it's they have a lot of athletes. I mean, they have we talked about Buford having like 8 D1 guys. I mean, are there guys on that side of the ball for Gainesville too?
I don't know that there's any, major D1 type of guys. I think the way that Jeremiah Ledbetter, has been playing at nose, he's a kid that could get some looks at that sort of position. But he's really about the only senior that may have that sort of opportunity, because there's a lot of young guys still on that defense. A lot of the leaders are still young guys. Mm-hmm. People like Fred Payne at safety, people like Connor Calvert on the defensive line. They're both juniors. I think that this is what they've got is they've got a lot of speed. And with that style of defense, it's all about swarming to the ball anyway. So that's a big help. I had a nice quote from Joseph Funk in there, just talking about there's competition just to tackle in this defense. Everybody wants to be the first guy to get to the ball and make a tackle. I mean, it's good, healthy competition. I think that's what's made this defense pretty good. Just from not from the get-go per se, but in the development of this season. And the fact that you got a lot of these young guys who have now had a chance to kind of learn and become, the standout guys in this unit. Because last year, you remember, this defense was led by two guys, A.J. Johnson and now I'm blanking on his name.
The linebacker.
Defensive lineman who's now down at Central Florida, Thomas Niles.
Yeah.
Hey, it's his daddy. I'll catch.
You're gonna tear up.
I'll catch y'all kind of heck for that. But anyway, no, it's he was. Those two guys were just dominant types of players and really led the way for that defense. They had some other good players, but when you've got two guys that can just make plays all over the field like they can, it really helps a lot of the younger guys along. And now those younger guys have had to step into starring roles, and they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely they are. I mean, doing outstanding. I mean, I didn't think anybody's going to be able to shut down or at least slow down Chaz Thornton and Stevens County. Gainesville absolutely did that. So they're going to be at home. That nasty defense and that high-scoring offense will be at City Park. 9-1 on the year's Gainesville. They're taking on Dalton, who's 4-6. But as Morgan said, don't be fooled by that record. Much better than the record indicates. All right, we'll talk more about AAA here in just a little bit. The other real big matchup, Flowery Branch has to go on the road. We told you they lost to Clark Central, and it wasn't even a coin flip. It was a magic rabbit out of the hat that said Heritage on it. And so Flowery Branch ends up with number 3 seed. They have to go on the road. This is as tough a draw as you could imagine for Flowery Branch, going 9-1. They have to go to Johns Creek, so it's a matchup of two 9-1 teams. Flowery Branch comes in. Flowery Branch is still very good, very talented, average over 47 points a game. Johns Creek's been very solid all year. Their only loss was an overtime loss to Chattahoochee, who's a top 10 team, too.
Yeah, defending Class 4A champion there, Chattahoochee. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really exciting game, I think, between two teams that just certainly know how to play good football. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, we've talked about Flowery Branch's playoff pedigree and how they do on the road. Johns Creek doesn't really even have a pedigree yet. This is only their second year playing varsity football. Yeah. So kind of the first time, I think, in one of these real kind of tough playoff situations. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys respond. I really think that Flowery Branch is going to be so focused and so ready to show that they're not a number 3 seed in this game, and I just think it's going to be an exciting game. Two teams that play a spread offense, two teams with a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball.
And, again, you kind of take positives out of negatives, and Flowery Branch wanted to win the region outright. They wanted to beat Clark Central, be 10-0 and all that stuff. There are some positives. They have to go on the road. That's a negative. But now they have the underdog mentality for the entire playoffs, I think, which is something I'm sure Coach Shaw is kind of going to key on, right?
And certainly it's something that they've thrived under, in the past with Coach Shaw and that entire coaching staff over there. It's just done a great job kind of, getting these kids to play with their backs against the wall. Need to find out, haven't talked to Coach Shaw yet, whether C.J. Curry is going to be available to play. He didn't play last week with a bad ankle, so certainly another difference maker for them. So we'll see if he gets a chance.
Yeah, but most definitely that's a very big key for Flowery Branch, who's number 7 in the state. Kind of funny, they end up being the number 3 seed out of the region, but they're the highest ranked team in the state out of the region. Flowery Branch is 7, Clark Central is number 9 in the state, and then Heritage of Conyers just getting 3 votes, so they're not even quite in the top 10. But Flowery Branch still number 7, still very dangerous, but they're playing a very dangerous Johns Creek team. That game, by the way, going to be on radio on AM 550 WDUN. That's going to be at Johns Creek. So head on over there. And if you can't, well, by golly, listen on radio. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will preview some more of these games. Buford has a big first-round matchup, and so does Hab Central. Speaking of Chattahoochee, we'll talk more about that coming up. High School Sports Unlimited. More after this.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Ron Wilson At Wilson Orthodontics, we've helped thousands of people just like you get that perfect, healthy smile they've always dreamed of. And we do that by using state-of-the-art orthodontic technology. Children and adults love our exciting Georgia Bulldogs game room.
Come in and experience the atmosphere.
Our team is the best around, and they treat all our patients like they're part of the family.
They were so nice to me.
Call us today to schedule your free consultation, and I look forward to seeing you here soon.
Hi folks, Butch Miller from Milton Martin Honda in Gainesville, and why you should get your next new car at Milton Martin Honda. First, a fantastic selection. We bought extra cars, so now we have the largest inventory in the area. Next, an incredibly low price. Plus, we'll give you more for your trade. Third, we'll treat you the way you like to be treated. Those three things combined, we call it Milton Martin Honda Advantage. So remember folks, if you think you can get a better deal on a better car at Milton Martin Honda in Gainesville, you got that right.
Here we go with High School Sports Unlimited. Continuing, we got 3 games on radio coming up on Friday. We'll give you the radio schedule in just a little bit. Catch us the rest of the football postseason and then all the way through basketball season as well. 6 p.m. Thursday, 3 p.m. on Friday on 1240 ESPN Radio or on AccessNorthGA.com on the on-demand little tab up there. Am I saying that right? It's a tab?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
guess it's a tab, whatever works.
Okay.
That thing you click on.
That you click on. All right, before we get to some of the other football matchups, I guess congratulations go out. Flowery Branch football team was losing a tough one on Friday. Flowery Branch boys, congratulations to them. Cross country, they win state.
3rd state title for that program. That's pretty impressive, yeah. Coach Jimmy Sorrells has just done an amazing job getting that program up to the elite level in the state, not just in, AAA for a few years, now in 4A, and they just continue to find ways to get it done. Drew Garland, their leading runner, had a big day over in Carrollton, and they just hats off to him. Running is something that's so to me it's so kind of foreign to me because I run just to stay in shape, but I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I am so impressed with the kids who can go out there and push their bodies to the absolute limit, and I'm beyond impressed. And beyond the Flowery Branch boys, the North Hall boys finished second. The Flowery Branch girls finished second. So just a great showing for a lot of Northeast Georgia programs over in Carrollton.
Yeah, it really is. And congratulations to all those teams. A lot of people know about the North Hall boys because they've been good for a long time. Flowery Branch boys, boy, that's impressive. 3 state titles for them and another one this year. AccessNorthGA.com. We're not just about football or about all kinds of high school sports as well. As Morgan mentioned, another week or so, basketball will be starting up.
Yeah, there'll be previews on the website coming pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Working on them today.
So click on the high school sports section to read all about that. All right, back to the football, the gridiron, the action coming up. First round of the playoffs. Habs Central, congratulations. They made the playoffs. They get to go on the road and take on Chattahoochee. All right. Well, they knew that it was going to be a tough first round matchup, and so they got it with Chattahoochee coming into that game. Chattahoochee, as you said, the defending state champs, just a very good team. They've been good all year. Not in the top 10 right now, but Chattahoochee is, let's see, are they undefeated on the season? Yes, they are, 10-0.
10-0.
10-0, not bad. So I think Chattahoochee needs to be the nervous team. With all the points that Hab Central puts up and the way Kevin Ellison runs that offense, I mean, Hab Central is going to put up some points, correct? More than likely?
Yeah, I can't imagine them not scoring. They haven't been shut out by anybody this year, and the closest they've been to being shut down, they still were scoring, 30-something points. So, I definitely think Chattahoochee will be a little nervous about this game. I haven't yet had a chance to talk to their coach. We've kind of traded emails back and forth, but I'd be interested to see if they played anybody that runs this triple option that Habersham does. And even if they have, certainly I don't think they've faced a quarterback quite like Kevin Ellison who can do so much and just make so many big plays.
Franklin County got to go on the road. They're going to be at Allatoona. I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think Allatoona is going to take Franklin County lightly. Franklin County 6-4 on the year. Allatoona, number 5 team in the state. They're 10-0. Franklin County is going to come in there and going to play good, solid football. If they do what they did against North Hall, I think they might be in this game into the second half and maybe able to pull the upset. That's a dangerous Franklin team, I'm telling you.
It is a dangerous Franklin team. I mean, we just talked about the option, and that's what Franklin does as well. And so hard. They've got multiple weapons back there between quarterback Kevin Harris and the fullback Sean Pulliam and the running back Andrew Heaton. 3 weapons. The offensive line has gotten so much better during the season. Now, obviously, Alatuna's got some weapons of their own. Miles Jones is a kid that's just run all over everybody this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how that game plays out.
Absolutely. That one's going to be at Buccaneer Stadium in Ackworth. You ever been there?
Never been to Ackworth for more than a pit stop, I think, on the way to 75 somewhere probably.
Great McDonald's, that's it, and you drive on. All right, so good luck to Franklin County. They got to go on the road and get that done. Buford, of course, going to be at home. This is their second season. This is what they play for. At Tom Ryden Stadium, the place where so many teams have gone to die. And next on that list is Temple. Doesn't Temple just sound like a kind of team that's just going to go in there? Hey, Buford just won 58-0 against Temple. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. You know, you do almost kind of feel sorry for the teams that have to face Buford, especially in the first round, because I mean, Temple's, I'm sure by no means a bad team. They've gotten to the playoffs. They're a fairly young team from what I understand, and they just run into probably the program in the entire state at this point. And you can't imagine Buford taking this game lightly, because they don't. I mean, they live for this time of year, and they don't care who you are. They're not going to take it easy on you.
That's something you should look into, and I'll let you crunch the numbers because I'm lazy. But the average first round score of Buford football playoff
That's games. That's a lot of playoff games.
I know, but I mean, just during their run, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
since the turn of the millennium.
Yeah, exactly. Because nobody comes close. I mean, nobody comes close to Buford in the first round.
I can't remember a game that was close. Well, they played Jefferson a couple years ago, but I think that was a second round game.
Okay.
That was actually a fairly decent game. But yeah, first round games is generally just, okay, next.
Nasty. Absolutely nasty. All right, Banks County is at home. They got blown out last week against a very good North Oconee team. They're at home. They're 7-3. They're number 2 seed out of 8AA. They got to take on a Daresville team. This is a tough draw for Banks County, man.
Yeah, Daresville's a very good team. East Hall matched up with these guys earlier in the year, and East Hall held with them for a lot of the game, but Daresville is just a very physical, hard-running team, and so is Banks County, so I think it's going to be kind of an interesting sort of slobber knocker game.
Yeah, Banks County they just have to have that. They just have to forget about what happened last week, just have like instant amnesia, I guess, and just kind of move on. North Oconee is a very, very good team. Banks County is a good team as well, so good luck to them. They're 7-3. Daresville is 9-1. Jefferson has to go on the road. They make the playoffs, and they have to face Calhoun. Calhoun's only 2 losses the last 2 years are in the state championship to Buford both times, and they really made Buford have to sweat last year in that very good Buford team. Yeah, so this is tough. This is a tough draw.
Yeah, you got to figure if they were playing in a different classification, or if Buford were playing in a different classification, that Calhoun would have a state title in the recent past. Very good Yellow Jackets team, produced a lot of talent through the years. Jefferson, though, I don't think they've got anything to be scared of. This is a team that's played very tough with 2 top 10 teams in Elbert County and North Oconee. And, I think they're certainly battle-tested, and we talked about, records, kind of belying seedings, and I'm not sure that Jefferson deserves to be a 4 seed. Frankly, I think they're probably one of the better 4 seeds in the entire state.
I agree. I agree with you, and I think that our offense, when it's clicking, when it's working right, it's going to put up some points, and T. McFerrin knows how to get his teams ready. He's been doing it for years and years and years. All right, so that game is also going to be on radio, by the way, FM 102.9. That game will be on the air, so Jefferson fans, listen up. We didn't mention Commerce and what they did last week. Commerce gets the win last week, and so they get to move on, and they make the playoffs. What is 15 straight years? 15 straight years.
15 straight years. Pretty impressive run until you realize who they're playing. And
that's a good point.
When that playoff run started, I don't think Lincoln County's not made the state playoff since 1982.
Really?
It's yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 2 impressive playoff streaks going up against each other.
Yeah. Lincoln County is. I mean, with all due respect to everybody else in Class A, Lincoln County is the name program in all of Class A.
Yeah. Exactly. So all right. So when Commerce started their playoff run, I was a freshman in college. When Lincoln County started theirs, I was about to start first grade. Okay.
Yeah, Herschel Walker was still at University of Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean...
Gas was only a nickel. It was unbelievable. Commerce is 4-6. Lincoln is 10-0. Tigers going on the road. Good luck to them. They might be able to pull it off. North Gwinnett's going to be at home. They'll be taking on Archer as well. So there you go. There's some of the matchups. Again, let's take a look at the radio schedule. We've got to get out of here in just a minute, but you look at what we have on AM 550 WDUN. Flowery Branch has got to go on the road. They will be at Johns Creek. You look at FM 102.9 WDUN. Just mentioned it. Jefferson is going on the road. They will take on the Calhoun Yeller Jackets. And then on 1240 ESPN Radio, Gainesville maybe take that next step toward a possible state title. They will be at home to take on the carpet makers of Dalton, which I think they say go Big Red as well. So
they do.
It's a matter of the Big Red. It's a battle of the Big Reds.
They do. The Catamounts are red, as are the Red Elephants.
Morgan, talk to you next week, man. Enjoy the playoffs.
I appreciate it. Have a fun trip to Calhoun.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Scotty McIntyre, thank you for all you do. He is the producer extraordinaire, and he does a fantastic job. High School Sports Unlimited, we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.